2026, and you're listening to the Tech Addicts Podcast. Brace yourself. This week, FiiO's new £50 MP3 player, a human fridge, a space mirror, Ayaneo are remaking the Game Boy Advance, Googlebooks, what are they, and the resurgence of the compact camera. Hello and welcome to the Tech Addicts Podcast. We're back for yet another season of techie bits and pieces and this and that and what you would call it and, you know, conspiracies, all that kind of crap, as you would expect from us. I am joined, as per usual, by Mr. Ted Salmon. Hello there, Ted Salmon. How are you, Ted Salmon?
Hello there, and yes, hello, Season 4, 2026. It's August, and this should be the end of the summer, surely. But anyway, let's not talk about the weather. Oh no, we're allowed to on this show, aren't we? Right.
Yeah.
Weather report is blue sky, 22 degrees, slight breeze, and too hot for me, but probably perfect for most people in the summer.
All right. Over here in Northern Ireland, just looking out of the window and checking my security camera to get backup information. Yes, we have a hint of blue sky with white wispy clouds obscuring the most of it. It's quite a lovely day. I can hear the birds cheeping. There's a cat walking across the driveway at the moment. It's not my cat. I don't know where my cat is. I would like to see my cat come out and see that cat away from the property. But that's not going to happen because my cat is probably sitting downstairs with a full tum, burping and farting, doing nothing about invaders, not protecting its realm.
I see. And
Yeah,
you were saying...
that happened. So it's been a wonderful month off, and we're back for another rip-roaring show. Ted, done anything exciting during the month?
Yeah, been an interesting month. You were saying on the Projector Room podcast in the week that you had been off to Tenerife, and next year it's Egypt. So during our off-season from Tech Addicts, you're the one that's done something, not me.
Well, I'm just checking that you might have gotten up to something. I hear Papa turned 90 whilst we were off air. That's an achievement.
It certainly is for him. Yeah, 90, and he's doing really well as well. He's still driving his car, and there's no real huge health issues with him. I'm sure he'll get to 100.
Excellent. Well, that's good news. And congratulate, happy birthday to Papa. Mm-hmm. I'll stop calling him Papa if you like. That's a bit weird, I think.
Is that an island thing? Papa.
I think it's French, if anything.
Pierre.
What?
Pierre? No, Papa. Yeah, Papa. Papa. You carry on.
Well, maybe it's Scottish because I used to call my grandfather in Scotland Papa Joe. So Papa.
What's Pappy? But who says Pappy? Pappy.
I don't know. You do. There you go.
Yes.
Well, your father's 90 and still driving. That's. I don't know if that's a good thing to say out loud. My mother's 83 and still driving. Not very well. She keeps having accidents and causing people harm, and that's a stress that I have outside of the show. But we're not going to get into that now, because the last thing we need to do is stress our listeners out with our own personal shit. So, on the show this week, we have stuff. And we're not going to run down the headlines because I forgot to do them before the show, so we'll blaze into the first story because Gen Z is buying old iPods to escape spotty music experiences. A growing trend among Gen Z users is purchasing refurbished iPods as a way to reclaim kind of control over their music listening experience, with the FiiO Snowsky Echo Nano emerging at the ideal $50 alternative. I think this is a bit of... There's a couple of stories that we're going to do in this show about how things are kind of changing back to almost the way they were, or at least people are looking back in time and going, things were better back then. I'm not going to wax lyrical about physical media or anything on this show, don't worry. But Ted, you've noticed this new exciting FiiO device coming out that looks to be an MP3 player that gets you away from your phone.
What I'm concerned about is everyone turning into Americans. It's Gen Z, not Gen Z, for goodness sake. Everyone,
Fair point.
Everyone, all... I don't know. Everyone younger than me just seems to be sucked straight into talking, pronouncing things. On the news the other day, on the BBC, they said debris, and this was a perfectly English, speaking person, and they're saying debris instead of debris. And I think that's a pure American. Fire truck instead of fire engine. And I think that America is just infecting the whole world with their language. Anyway,
and you're going to take them down one by one.
This FiiO Snowsky, what is it called? Mini
Echo Nano.
Echo Nano. It looks really, really nice, I have to say, and it's only 50 quid, 49 quid in fact, on Amazon, and you can buy it now, and it's got loads of different colours. And yeah, it does things. You're right. They're appealing to the Gen Z people who are trying to get away from phones and all things streaming and online. It's got a USB-C to charge the thing, and it's supposed to last for 7 hours on one shot. And presumably that means that 50% volume in the usual way. But it's also got a micro SD card slot, which you can stick a card in with all your music on it. It's very basic in terms of the little display. I've got a Sony dictation machine here, which looks a little bit similar to this. And the controls over how you get to what track you want if you put music on it is really quite difficult, but you can scroll through it, and it's got a aluminium scroll wheel on the top, which you can use to do different stuff and different functions, and it just looks absolutely lovely, and I fancy one. There's a picture in the link that... Oh no, there's not. There was a picture I saw somewhere, it might have been on Amazon, of this guy with a lanyard, because it's got a lanyard hole on it. So he's hanging it around his neck, and it's dangling down in front of him. 3.5mm audio for plugging in earphones or headphones or whatever. And it just like it's, 30 years ago, basically, where you have keep your notifications away from you, keep your phone in your pocket. Don't give a rat's ass what's going on in the world. Just listen to your music. And it looks great. I really like it. And I don't know how they're doing these kind of things for this kind of price. It also, though, acts as a DAC. So if you want to, you can plug in your... your laptop or your phone or whatever else into one end, and it will then boost the music, the quality up to a higher level for enjoying it that way as well. Really incredibly well priced and really good value. I fancy one. Alongside the JadeAudio GIGAS 1, which is another 50 quid, another FiiO, and it's a little desktop class amplifier. So, this one has got, it's a little box, and it's not quite so portable. It's supposed to be more like a desktop thing. And you plug in, you can plug in 4.4mm or 3.5mm connections. It's got TRRS on the 3.5mm, so if you've got people that want to game with it, you can use headphone stuff with it, because it's got the 4 sections on the plug instead of 3, which is cool. And it looks, it looks really, really nice. It looks a bit like a kind of like someone's made it to some degree. It's like a aluminium block, and it's really interesting. But apparently the sound it produces is really neutral, so no equalizer unless you want to add it afterwards. And Yeah, you pair those two things together, and you've got a nice little kit, I reckon, for £100.
Absolutely, this looks really nice. Reading through some of the information here, I've noticed a new term that I've never heard of before, called friction maxing, which suggests that people are choosing less efficient things to be a more intentional option.
Mm-hmm.
It's like having a DVD player and, having a movie library like that. So you get up and actually physically pick up a movie that you want to watch. You make a selection rather than sitting there scrolling through Netflix, that kind of thing. So you have to load on the music that you want to listen to onto this, and just run with it. If you put this on and go on holiday, then that's all the music you have. You can't just shuffle and find new stuff or have algorithms recommend stuff to you. And that's the way it was. That's the sort of deliberate consumption that people would have over the years, and that seems to be coming back, where you're making a choice, a conscious choice for what you want to fill your ears with on the way. And I like that. I think that was the grounds of the way humanity was built during the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, and then started to slip away. And it was nice to dabble with the likes of Spotify and things like that. It was exciting to see it arrive. But, it's still a niche product, this. And it's not going to appeal to the masses. But I'm just glad that this sort of thing still exists. And FiiO and the Snowsky brand seem to be putting out some really good-looking devices. And I almost picked one up. I can't remember what it was called, but it looked like a little cassette player. And it was about $50 or £50. And I deliberated over it for so long, but I honestly couldn't justify it because I don't think I would use it. I'm a Plex user and I've got Plex amp and I use it that way. So I rip all my music and I have to go and manually download the albums that I've ripped to my phone, which I suppose has limited storage for FLAC rips. So I have to still friction max my audio selection before I go out. If that makes sense. Yeah. So long live this type of thing. It's great to have these options. You never know when one might come in handy, and it looks great to do. I like that little volume knob at the side. There's nothing quite like having a physical knob.
Absolutely, and that's the same as the GIGAS one as well. That's got a huge volume knob on the top, and look at the on-off toggle on the end there, which is an old-fashioned 1940s actual switch that goes up and down.
Yeah, you really feel like you're turning something on whenever you do that.
Yeah,
and there's a gain button that's a slider left or LH on it. And then FiiO, that's a good looking device. It gets you into it, but I think it's a slippery slope. Once you buy one of these, then you're going to be looking for something slightly better and better and better, and before you know it, you're dumping thousands of pounds into audio gear.
Yeah,
no bad thing.
Looks nice.
Yeah. Well, next up is a human refrigerator. Ted, I'm thinking that you're planning on getting one of these for next year, yeah?
I'd love to get one, but the trouble is it costs £7,000, and it's only being made available for commercial outlets, really. But yeah, essentially it's a big box, like the sort of thing you would see on stage, a magician's stage, where they're making someone disappear and put a cloth over it. But inside there's a seat which is big enough for one person, or two people if you sit on each other's laps, I suppose. And it's supposed to be placed in places where the climate is just ridiculously hot, and you're not supposed to go and sit in it all day. You're supposed to go in and sit in it for a certain length of time, which I can't remember. And it brings the temperature down to 15 degrees centigrade, but it gives you a blast of 5 degrees centigrade around your head and your neck. And the time you're allowed to sit in there until it resets itself or stops is set to make sure it doesn't interfere with anyone's health, because after all, it's like getting into a fridge. Presumably you can breathe in there. And it looks just great. And yes, you're right, I would love to have one of these for those really stupidly hot days. But as I say, it's clearly designed for putting in places like, I don't know, shopping centres or town centres, or places where there's no air conditioning particularly, I suppose, and of course in Japan. But yeah, I really like the look of this, and if they're going to make this a thing, then presumably in time the price of these things will come down and they will become more accessible to mere mortals and not just be priced at 7,000 quid.
It costs 16 yen per hour to run, which is roughly $1.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks really uncomfortable. There's no cushioning at all. Anything that you're going to want to actually sit on for 15 minutes. And to be honest, it looks like a server rack.
Yes, it does.
No, I think this is garbage. Really, to be honest, I wouldn't have one.
It just looks like it looks like a fridge, but with a see-through front door.
Yeah,
that's it really. A huge fridge, and it's on wheels as well. I'm not quite sure why it's on wheels, I suppose, and I'm not even quite sure how it's powered. Presumably, it plugs into the mains.
Well, yeah, all the pictures of it don't actually show a power cable running to it, unless it's got a battery, and a big old battery.
Right.
But you're going to find some prick is going to go and stick their lunch in it or something like that, and whenever you get into it, it's going to smell of sardines or whatever.
Or piss in the corner.
It happens in the office.
Oh yeah, that's it. It's the size of a phone box, I reckon. That's the kind of size it is. A phone box that someone's pissed in the corner of.
and people queued outside of it fainting because they can't get in. You have to wait 15 minutes. Oh, it's my turn. Oh. Nah, you keep it. No thanks. Right, next up is physical media. Physical music media revival. CDs outperforms vinyl. New data shows that CDs are experiencing unprecedented growth, overtaking vinyl as the most popular physical format of 2026, which is, I suppose, great news, but I think it's more than likely because vinyl prices are quite expensive, CD players are quite expensive, and a CD player you could pick up, I don't know, from a local auction for next to nothing. And people are just happily giving them away. I have about 6 or 7 CD players in this room alone that are stacked up, not being used.
Wow.
I've only got one that I actually use, but I can't get rid of the others just in case. You never know, the laser might go on the one that I'm using. But yeah, so the first half of 2026 saw a growth of 16.3%, which is described as a significant surge in media outlets. And then the first half of vinyl, the growth was 2.4%, which isn't a significant surge. But all physical media across, DVD, all that kind of stuff, growth is up 7.8% in the first half of 2026, which is very positive indeed. Just at the time that Sony are announcing that they're not doing disk drives anymore. And Panasonic might be exiting the market altogether, so hopefully they'll rethink that. Who knows? Ted, what do you think?
Well, the 2.4% versus 16.3%, don't forget that vinyl records have had a bit of a head start. I started recollecting vinyl records about probably 15 years ago, which was just at the time that I ditched all my CDs. And so CDs, if they're going to be resurged, they've got some way to catch up with the already flowing kind of vinyl resurgence as well. But I like it. I don't actually, I think I said on the show before, I don't actually own a single CD, I don't think. So if I was going to do this, I'd have to start yet another collection. I've now got my core about 150 vinyl records that I want. and I kind of add to those when something I really like comes along. That not just routinely going back into the backlog and picking stuff out that I used to have, but just only having stuff that I want. So I would then need to buy another 150 CDs to do the same thing. And I have noticed that CDs, whereas they used to be like about, I don't know, 6 months ago, about 2, 3 quid, 4 quid, because nobody wanted them. And I've noticed now that they're 10, 11, 12 quid. And they're obviously cashing in on this and making up for lost time. And CD players, as you say, even though you've got 6 there, most people like me haven't actually got one. The only way that I've got to play a CD in my place is the optical drive in my tower PC. I've got no other way of playing a CD. So if it was me, I'd have to get not only 150 CDs but also a player.
I'm going to correct that and say 5, because I'm looking at that Amstrad Hi-Fi over there and it doesn't actually have a CD player on it. I just assumed that it did. It doesn't. It's got 2 cassette players and a vinyl. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's just one of those things that it's exciting in that you have to restrain yourself. There's curating a collection, and there's just collecting for the sake of collecting, and there's a lot of people who are just going out and grabbing anything. I saw a Reddit thread quite recently about a guy giving off that there was a woman in a charity section of what's a big American chain, begins with a T, thrift store, and she was going through scanning every DVD with her phone to see if something was selling quite well online, maybe, or what have you, or if it's in. I suggested it might be in their collection, or to check and see if there's in the collection, because I sometimes have to do that as well, where I'll see a DVD going, do I have that? I think I might. Mm-hmm. And I had to go and beep the barcode, and yeah, I do have it, and then put it back on the shelf. But this person was just, filling up a trolley so that they could take it away, either to make a DVD collection, or perhaps just to throw them online and sell them on eBay, because it's that kind of crucial point where the prices are going up online and charity shops haven't quite caught up with them yet. So we have a wee window where people are going to start trying to make money, so you'll see them disappearing off charity shop shelves, or they'll just be left with all the crap that no one really wants, the romantic comedies and things like that. How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, or FIFA on PlayStation and Xbox, old versions of that. But yeah, it is a wonderful time to be seeing this all happening in the resurgence, and I'd hate to have had a huge CD collection and got rid of them. Oh, how bad I'd feel, wouldn't you? Oh, sorry.
And that wasn't just 150. That was hundreds and hundreds, and I just gave them away. I just had a look at.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I just had a look at Music Magpie. I thought, where will they fit into this mix of like 10, 11, 12 quid for a CD? And perhaps that's the way to go, because looking at Music Magpie's selling page on CDs, $1.99. I mean, they're used, not new, so you take your chances. But and you can also, on that $1.99 price, do two for £3, or 4 for £5. Even some of them are 4 for £5. And looking through the list of these, they're all kind of popular CDs from obviously back in the day. They're not going to be like really, really up to date that is being released now. But if you wanted to backfill your catalogue, that second hand thing might be the way to go. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, you're okay. I really noticed. I've been working my way through the James Bond soundtracks, buying them one by one and trying to get the nicest edition that I can. And I'm up to, I think, A View to a Kill. I can't remember if I got it or if it's the one I'm looking for next. I've stopped looking because it's too expensive to get that on CD now for the nice version that's out there. And that I've just seen the price rise as I went along. Whenever I first started, it was like, oh, hang on a second, Dr. No and From Russia with Love are £1 each on Music Magpie. I'll grab a few of those and throw them in. And I got them, tested them, made sure that they were all good. And now that I've got up to View to a Kill, it's like, well, this is becoming a pretty pricey endeavour. I don't like doing this anymore. It's costing me more money than I used to, and I've had to look forward as the other films that I have yet to collect, and they're all going up, and they're between £7 and even £20 for a soundtrack, and it's like, oh crap!
Yeah.
Other people are either doing this or they're just becoming more and more scarce because people are holding on to them.
Yeah.
Bum.
But I could be talked into this. I could, particularly if I was to have a FiiO CD player that we talked about on the show in season 3. That you remember that one with the see-through lid we were talking about.
Yeah.
And they look just lovely. So there's a kind of hardware lust in there. You say, head off to Music Magpie, get one of those FiiO thingies, and start collecting. It'll be great fun.
But then I'm the worst person for this, because I've now got a nice CD collection and a small record collection as well, where I've ripped them as high quality as possible to put them into my Plex Media collection, and that's now where they reside.
Yeah.
My CDs are now kind of bundled down in the bottom drawer, and they're just sitting there taking up a bit of space, I suppose. But I love having them there because of all the artwork that comes along with them. You get little booklets and things with them, and now I just listen to them on Plex Amp instead. Yeah,
and this is the argument really, which leads us into our next story about this the CD collection and this concept. Well, it's not a concept. It's something that somebody is actually producing eventually, which is a display that you put on your wall, which you can sift through. It's supposed to be a CD collection display, and so it talks to a few. It's going to talk to Spotify, Music, Apple Music, and Tidal. So I'm hoping that eventually that list of services will extend. But essentially, it's a box you kind of attach to your wall, and it's got a display on the front, and it's a touch display, and it picks up your collection from your Spotify, Apple Music, or Tidal collection, and then it displays on this screen, long, wide display. The collection, and you can scroll through it with your finger, and then the one that you are actually selecting it shows it in square format, the actual album art on the front, but the rest of them are just the spines, and so you scroll through them. And then you pick the one you want to pick to play. You then tap on it to play it, and tap on it to pause it. But this is not a player. It's just a library display thingy. The people that decided to make this a thing, they said that's what's missing from people's experience. They've got all the music they want on their phone. Forget about that. But they don't have this browsing experience where they can just look through their collection. And no one has got space like Gareth Miles to have a room full of shelves with tons and tons of stuff all over it. So you can just scroll through, and then when you want to listen to something, you tap on it and play, and then it plays to whatever device you've got connected, your phone or your tablet or whatever it is you've got hooked up. So interesting idea, or just a waste of time?
I'm actually going to go with waste of time. This isn't capturing the thrill of going the movements of going through someone's collection, flicking through records and smelling the records instead. This is just inflating that little scroll window that you have on Spotify or whatever music service you use, and going through what should I listen to next that you would do with your phone. You have to get up out of your seat and walk across to the other side of the room and scroll across this to try and find an album that you want to listen to. And I'm guessing that this is because this isn't your collection. This is randomly or a Spotify playlist that has been suggested to you for you to scroll through.
It can be, or it can be just your collection. You can set it up however you want.
But I don't see the point in doing that whenever you've got it on your phone. It's just buying another piece of hardware that's going to go on your wall that needs to be connected to Wi-Fi so that you can press it. One of the big problems that I find is whenever you're on your phone looking for a particular album, it might have different art to what you're accustomed to. So you could flick past it by mistake, and then you have to go back and frustratingly search for it and go, oh, it looks different now. It's got a new cover, or they're using the Japanese cover, the American cover. I'm used to seeing the one that was released in the UK. Or there's different editions of CDs that are released that maybe have 22 tracks, or there's one that has 15 tracks, or there's the classic vinyl. You know, it's not something that I think is going to really be able to capture that, where you actually stand up and flick through your media collection. This is geared toward people who want to have a CD browsing experience, and they're creating one for them that actually has no relevance in what you've done before. It's a nice idea, I'll give you that. And if I was given one, I would probably give it a go for a while, but ultimately give up after a while, because I prefer going over to the drawer if I want to listen to a CD, or just selecting something on my phone.
It might be quite good for to have in your lounge for visitors, for example. So if you had people round for dinner or something, and you had a huge rack of CDs, they would be flicking through, seeing what you've got, and if you had this on the wall, there would be a kind of high-tech way of doing that, I suppose. I don't know. I'm in the middle of this discussion.
It would be. They actually look a wee bit more like cassettes, you know, width-wise, but not height-wise. I think they're taller than CDs. It's almost like zoomed in a little bit, given the images that are on display. So, or 8 tracks, we'll go with that, because they were fatter than CDs and taller than cassettes. So it looks like an 8-track collection. And if someone was to come around to your house and start putting on your music, would you not tell them to get the out? Never touch another person's stereo.
Not putting it on, just seeing what you've got. And since I've been collecting vinyl records, that quite often happens to me. People, members of my family particularly, that come round, they're really interested to flick through and see what albums I've got. And they could do this on this machine without touching your precious vinyl, and just doing it remotely.
But then they could just be scrolling through your Spotify playlist and go, oh, right, okay, you're listening to this, that, and the other.
If you give it to them.
Nah, you're okay. I'll just
fair enough.
I'll stick with what I've got.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, next up, we've got a little bit of space news, because the FCC has granted approval for a sun-reflecting space mirror that has been widely criticised by astronomers, because they seem to know a bit more about it than the FCC. The Federal Communications Commission, or FCC for short, has approved a Reflect Orbital launch, or has approved Reflect Orbital's launch of Earendil 1. EARENDIL-1. This is a satellite that will reflect sunlight onto Earth at night, despite significant scientific criticism over the potential impacts on astronomy and public safety. The idea is that this will be able to focus sunlight onto crops that are growing and let them grow 24/7, regardless of the little animals that are around them going, oh, I can't get to sleep. They're going to have to hand out little night caps and things like that, and night masks for the possums and the moles and the bats that are trying to sleep whilst this is doing its thing. What do you think, Ted? Is this messing around with Mother Nature? Is she going to come back and get us?
Probably, yeah. But one of the ways in which this apparently can potentially help is that in all the hours of darkness, they can still point these things at solar panels. So, thus reducing fossil fuel burning and all the rest of it. and keep the power grids up to scratch with regards to that. And also, the more down in the shithole Earth goes in terms of climate control and no rain and people living on scorched earth, as you said earlier, they'll be able to grow more crops, because that's the kind of thing that the food chain supply will be something that is. I like the idea of these things that you stick in space quite often, but practically, why? In terms of practice, I can't see that these are going to happen very readily. It's a bit like that thing they were talking about that sits between the Earth and the Sun in order to reduce the the UV rays, and so reduce the planet's growing temperature generally. You think, who on earth is ever going to really do that? And it would have to be such a huge investment to do this. However, I suppose this one is a bit more gettable. But yeah, really fascinating sci-fi, isn't it? Sci-fi for now, but they seem to think that it's not so much sci-fi as sci-fact.
Well, yeah, I've seen far too many James Bond movies to know that this is a military thing. And they'll be able to focus the energy on a particular target and destroy it.
The people
it'll get unlucky and it'll shine down on one person's house, and they'll be in permanent daylight for like 6 months, and they won't be able to do anything about it. We'll have to send up a new crew.
The thing that the astrologers are moaning about is that it might astronomers. That's it.
That's the one.
It will blind them, so they won't be able to look at it. So, well, it's not going to blind you any more than during the daytime if you look at the sun, for goodness sake.
True.
Don't look at it.
But astronomers don't generally go out and stargaze during the day.
No.
They go out and stargaze during the night. I can understand, where you think, if you look at the horizon at night toward the nearest city to you, you can see the light pollution. Yeah, and this could end up causing quite a bit of light pollution in the sky, and that's going to affect astronomers who are hobbyists, and that it affects them that in a way that should never really be affected. Yeah. There's an argument there, but I'm just not coming up with it right now.
Anyway, granting approval doesn't mean that someone's actually paying for it and doing it.
Well, crazier things have happened. If you were to teleport back 15 years and say what Elon Musk has managed to achieve with SpaceX, you'd say bollocks. Yeah. So this is a lot easier than doing satellites. The amount of satellites that Elon Musk has chucked up there. These are bits of tinfoil, essentially. Yeah. I don't mean to diminish it at all, but they're quite large but small, easy to do by comparison. So yeah, I see this as being a quick win for some country that manages to get these up, or some baron that has a large amount of money that can actually go and get this done.
Amazing.
Be interesting to see what happens.
Indeed.
Anyway, moving on to a bit more fun stuff. Ayaneo. Ayaneo has revealed the Konkr, K-O-N-K-R. This is the Konkr Pocket Advance. It's a Game Boy Advance remake. And it features modern hardware and various improvements over the original, while preserving the iconic Handheld's classic design. It's got a 3.5-inch LCD display, which is 1960 by 640, in the same 3.2 aspect ratio that the Game Boy Advance had. It's got the full ABXY buttons, plus additional menu buttons and extra shoulder buttons, just, because sometimes you need them. It's got a USB Type-C port, it's got micro SD card slot, it's got Wi-Fi, Bluetooth compatibility, it's got a 3.5mm headphone jack, hey, and a volume wheel, lovely. There's a bunch of different colours available, including navy blue and coral orange, which is called which looks like the old spice orange that the Game Boy Advance had, and it's due to arrive fairly soon, but no date has been announced. Ted, would you be excited about this?
Yeah, it looks good. I think that looks really dinky and nice and lovely. I'm not bothered about. Do you know? I don't think I've ever used shoulder buttons in my life on any machine, but they're there. But do you think that the 960 by 640 LCD screen is going to be any good, or is it going to look like a first generation Game Boy and be really pixely and not very not very smooth to look at in this day and age?
No, I imagine it'll look really well. The older screens were such a dated technology. They looked great at the time compared to the original Game Boy, but they should last a good bit longer because the technology is a bit better now. And I think that this will probably come with all kinds of filters that you can put on, so you can get your original scan lines and pixelation as you want it, or you can turn them all off and have like a really smooth, crystal clear display if you want it. The community would be very into that because it's chalk and cheese. Some people love it, some people hate it.
I like the orange one. So the the community would you'd be going and downloading game. Well, they might supply it, I suppose, with a micro SD card with a bunch of games on it initially, but you would need to go and kind of download your games, I guess.
I don't know anything about that.
No, you don't.
No, that sounds illegal to me.
Yes. Anyway,
this is Nintendo we're talking about here, Ted. They're listening.
There was that thing we spoke about, wasn't there, with the Nintendo thing, locking down everything. But they're not going to lock everything down. People can do what they want, can't they? And they peer-to-peer sharing, they just do whatever they fancy. But
they damn well try.
The hardware does look nice, I do agree. And it looks like it's a really dinky little size as well. Unlike the Evercade stuff, which is like far too big, I think. This one looks like it's very pocketable, and the screen takes up, most of the front of it. I like this. I fancy one.
Yeah. I still think bigger is better. I've got that Lenovo Legion S Go, and I adore it. I've actually spent a lot more time gaming on it over the last couple of weeks than I expected that I would. Because I've dusted off some of the older games in my Steam library, and I've got emulation going on it as well. I don't think I could go back down to something so small. I did have that Ambernick 353M or whatever it was called that was just too small for my hands, and it got really sore after playing it for a while. But the bigger boys like the Steam Deck and that Lenovo Legion they're good for big hands and really comfortable to play for hours and hours and hours. Anyway, moving on again.
Hang on a minute, when's this coming home?
They haven't released a date.
LCD, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, they don't. Hang on a minute. I found another link here online to another article about it. Let's see if they say in this one when it's coming.
Okay.
No, they're not. No, it says watch this space. Right, carry on as you were.
Well, we're going to stick with Lenovo that I did hint at in the last news article, because Lenovo's Googlebooks have been leaked, and they reveal a new Android-based laptop, and they've allegedly begun development already of the new Chrome OS laptops that have been leaked through images that have been shown with Google branding and a distinctive glow bar feature. Ted, I'm sure you're champing at the bit to talk about this.
Googlebooks are going to be the thing to replace Chrome. Don't forget that Chrome OS and Chromebooks have been promised to be supported till 2034. So this is not going to be an overnight replacement for Chromebooks if you've still got one. Or even if you're buying one right now, you should still get support for a good number of years. But Googlebooks, as we know, were announced at the Google event a while ago, and they are coming. They are working on it. It's a kind of a mashup of Chrome OS and Android, And the news here is that Lenovo have at last kind of shown some hardware. The first one is a 2-in-1 tablet with a kickstand and keyboard, which is in the style of the Chromebook Plus 14, which was really, really well reviewed. Robbie Payne on Chrome what's it called? Unboxed?
Unboxed, no. Yeah.
Chrome Unboxed. He was raving about the Chromebook Plus 14 from Lenovo, and so that'll be good. It's a kind of 2-in-1 in that kind of style. And the other one is one that looks like the Idea Pad Pro Gen 2, which is one I'm not actually familiar with. But the point is that Lenovo have released, they've given us a look at the first 2 bits of hardware, and I quite like the 2-in-1. I've got a Lenovo Duet here, and that looks very much like this, but obviously my Duet is never going to run the software that they're going to put onto these Googlebooks. But if I was going to buy one somewhere down the line, that form factor is really good, because you can take the screen off and use it like a tablet, and the mashup of Chrome OS and Android will be really interesting to see what they're doing. So that's about it, really. That's all there was. Lenovo are showing some hardware, and no dates, nothing to really talk about in terms of hard facts, but it just shows that they are moving forward. And that glow bar thingy you're talking about, we know now that that's coming. A glow button or something on the back of the new Pixel 11 devices. But I've got an old Pixel book that's got that glow bar on it, so they're obviously bringing that back to feature with Googlebooks. And so, yeah, I'm looking forward to the whole Googlebooks thing. I think it'll be interesting. And I did also link to an article in Tech Radar where they were talking about the fact that Google are being quite smart with this and aiming for the young Generation Z, if you like, who would normally have gone to Windows computers or Mac OS computers, and they're jumping in here. Because they've made so many of the Chromebooks available in schools and at the education sector, they're now hoping that that the natural progression for people coming out of school will be to not buy a Windows laptop or computer, but actually go to a Googlebook. And they reckon that they're going to be challenging Microsoft on this by grabbing that whole sector of people who are used to the whole Chrome OS thing and moving them forward that and saying, look, you don't need Windows anymore. Here, have a Googlebook, because it will do everything you want it to do, particularly now that it's Android based, an Android based OS, which you're used to with your phone, no doubt, and Windows are not moving very quickly with Android integration, if at all these days, and so yes, that was the knock-on story, really, that Google are being quite smart about where they're pitching this.
Yeah, they're expected later this year, though, which is, we haven't had too many clues about it. I reckon there's going to be a good bit of market confusion whenever they arrive, because people are just going to go, it's just a Chromebook, and people still don't fully understand what a Chromebook is. I don't think in the larger scheme of things. Okay.
I'm sure you're right, because there'll be that long crossover period that I just described to 2034, and we don't yet know also what existing hardware you might be able to put the Chrome OS Android mashup on. So it might be that people will be just it might be that they'll push over the air the update to people, and they'll make at least the Chromebook Plus devices completely compatible with the new operating system. Who knows? Well, there's a lot of unknowns really, but you're absolutely right about my enthusiasm. On the day that the particularly that 2-in-1 is released, I'll be queuing up to get it because I'm really interested to see what they're going to do with the software and how different it'll be to a Chromebook. But yeah, your average bod out there might be confused. You're right.
I hope that they've paid attention to the market as well and seen what happens with Microsoft whenever they pushed out Windows 11 and went, oh, you can't install it on this without that and all the TDP crap and stuff, and you have to have this particular type of chipset and things. Hopefully, it is just you're strong. Your hardware has to be strong enough to run it. But don't forget that Google have got a track record of doing this by bringing in the Google Plus thing. So they've already said to people that have got a Chromebook that is not a Chromebook Plus, well, sorry, you need to upgrade. If you want these new features, you'll have to upgrade. We're not going to backport any of this to your old hardware because your old hardware is not good enough. Move forward, buy a new one. And so with Googlebooks, I think that they probably will be ultimately doing the same thing. What I said about backporting it might only be to hardware, Chromebook Plus hardware, that is good and fast enough and has got the right hardware to support it. But I'm still not saying that they will do that. But Google have got a track record of cutting it off. They've done that before and said, right, that's your lot. You won't get the new stuff unless you upgrade your hardware. And don't forget that phone manufacturers and tablet manufacturers have been doing that as well. If you look at, for example, with each iteration of Pixel phones that come along, there is lockdown features that don't backport to previous Pixel phones. You know, there's software and hardware, and particularly AI stuff that has been baked into only working with newer devices. And Samsung have done the same thing as well with their devices. There are apps and services and functions in their newer hardware that just doesn't work with older hardware. So to some degree with Googlebooks, you know, they're only going to be doing the same as everyone else is doing. They're saying, right, if you want the latest and greatest of everything, this is the new hardware. Let's get on board and get buying it. Yeah, good. Nice you agree. Awesome. No, Google, our Chromebook Plus, I think maybe 1% of the world actually understood what that was. No, even less than that. I figured my wee Chromebook it met the technical specifications, I believe. Aside from maybe the webcam, it was only 720p. It wasn't a 1080p one, so it didn't get it. I was like, what? No, hang on a second. It's got everything else, just not a 1080p webcam.
Yeah, so did mine. I've got an original 2017 Pixel book here, and the only reason that it won't have a plus is because of the webcam. You're absolutely right, which is very silly. We've spoken before about my Duet, and there's no reason why that can't have it, except that Chromebook plus Chrome OS doesn't run yet on tablets, which is why this Googlebook on a 2-in-1 is quite interesting to me, because this will be one of the first times that actually it does work on a 2-in-1. So yeah, it's a bit fragmented, I do agree, and there may be confusion going forward.
Yeah, well, they need to get that sorted out ASAP. Yes. Right, that's about it for the news. So we're going to move into a bit of banter, because I've got a wee thing that I want to discuss, and it goes back to reclaiming essentially physical media and all that kind of stuff. But it's not physical media. It adheres to a story earlier on the show. See if you can guess which one from what I say. Canon is now going to be increasing compact camera production amidst a rise in people wanting good old-fashioned compact cameras. And I don't know if you remember, but a number of years ago on this very show, I talked about how I went to, I can't even remember where I got them. I think it might have been eBay or something like that. But I bought quite a lot of old digital cameras. And started trying to, dust them up and things like that. And I didn't really do too much with them other than go and get batteries and chargers and memory cards. And they're all kind of sitting. Some of them work, some of them don't. I think it was about a 50-50 ratio in that. But my daughter came to me and said, do you have an old compact digital camera? And I opened the drawer that I keep all of these in and went, help yourself.
Take your pick.
Whoa! And she picked out a little Canon Exus 4-megapixel one. She actually picked out two. They were the same model because they used the same batteries and the same chargers. So she took two of them, one for her and one for her boyfriend. And they could take them down to the pub and take some pictures. And whenever we went away to Tenerife, she said, "Can you take some of the cameras with you?" So I took 4 of them with me, and she had one herself. And we just had a bit of a blast taking pictures with all of these different digital cameras of street photography, essentially. Not that I'm going to publish any of the pictures, but it's widened my eyes now, because she said that she's been looking to try and get one of these. And I was looking at kind of how people adapted to this, and I think that Gen Z have looked at what happened before, and they've almost tried to get into 35mm photography, silver-based development and all that, and realized, shit, this is expensive, let's not do that. Polaroids are a wee bit too, you're at the mercy of the Polaroid dealer for getting exposure pads or whatever they're called. I can't remember.
Film
plates. Film. Well, no, but they the way the Polaroid pictures are. Yeah, getting those, you get 10, and it costs you, I don't know, 30 quid or something.
20
like
quid. They work out about 50p each.
But that's all really expensive. So now they've kind of circled back round to digital cameras, compact cameras, because they're all-in-one cameras, and I think as you have a look at those all-in-one cameras as they went along, and they tried to pack in everything they could to make the most attractive deal. The Canon Exuses and the Panasonic Lumixes and the Nikon Coolpix, all those old classic compact cameras that people took on holiday with them, and they delivered really good photographs. Maybe not as good as your smartphone, but you're taking it away from your smartphone and you're having a dedicated camera to take pictures on. So I went on to eBay and I had a quick look around to see, my beautiful, absolutely beautiful Canon Exus 110 IS. It's a lovely camera. I really like it, and it produces some beautiful pictures. And I went on to have a look, and it was something like £47. It's like, really? For that?
How much was it?
£47 to buy a second-hand one.
Right.
Yeah, no guarantee that it's going to work, and I don't think it came with a charger. It's like, flipping heck. Wow, that's pretty incredible. And I could take it from the point of view that I'm sitting on a gold mine of cameras right now, but no, I'm not parting with them. My daughter can certainly take some that she wants to play with, because she is an avid photographer and really loves that retro feel, and even doing something as silly as going through the little filters that they included in the camera itself, and it's just a novelty. And I feel that people should really go digging in their drawers and try and find that old digital camera that they might have had at one stage. I've got an old Nikon Coolpix that I can't find for the life of me, that my wife bought for me years ago, and I'd love to be able to dust that off and start using it again. Despite the fact I've got a myriad of other ones, but they're not mine. Mine is this Nikon. And go back and rediscover just how good these cameras actually were. You can compare them to your smartphone, certainly, and realize your smartphone does take better pictures, but it lacks the definition that these had, the quality that these had. And if you need to, you can take them away. Some of them even capture RAW, which is incredible. And you can go and spruce them up and make them look like they were taken with a smartphone camera if you need to. They have CCDs inside of them. They have glass lenses and all those sorts of things. So you find really
and aperture
little
control
cameras. That's right, yeah. Some of them do. Some of them don't. But some of them do.
Yeah.
And generally pretty good zoom lenses as well, because that was one of the things that they really tried to pack in, was a good zoom lens into a compact camera. And they might have smaller sensors than you might find on an SLR, but they cost a fraction of the price. And it was really good fun going through these. So I'm dusting off all my old cameras, and I'm going to give them a bit of a go through again. Just take them out with me, and you throw them in your pocket and forget about them, and it takes the emphasis off your phone. You don't have to worry about Google Photographs going and backing up all the pictures that you take. You take as many pictures on that, and you can go back and review them. And once again, it brings us back to that phrase that I've now forgotten about, friction maxing, where you have to take those pictures and you have to put them onto your computer via SD card, as a good old-fashioned photographer would do. Ted, have you got any digital cameras knocking around that you've played with in the last wee while? Are you fascinated by this trend?
Only the one that I got on the back of when you were buying a shed load of them, and I went off and bought one on eBay as well, and that's sitting in the drawer and it's never been touched. But yeah, I mean, there are things like Xenon Flash, for example, and I know that Flash is not in vogue these days, and people are saying you don't need Flash, you need proper bits of glass.
Oh no, it is. It is. Well, my daughter kept saying, no, turn the flash on. If it's night photography, we turn the flash on, because it gives it that look, that classic look.
Okay. Well, if you're more than about 10 foot away from anything, it's not going to have any impact anyway. Anyway, the Xenon Flash is out of vogue in terms of proper inverted commas photography. Nobody uses it, and it's so close usually to the axis of the lens that you get red eye with people and blah blah blah. One of the interesting things about compact cameras though is that it might only have the same size sensor as the one that you've got in your phone, but the difference, I think, is the glass. With the, particularly if you've got a zoom lens on your compact camera, you've actually got proper bits of glass, which are bigger bits of glass, and with as I say, some of them having proper aperture control as well, and a lot of them have got lots of physical controlling buttons and dials and levers and stuff, which you just don't get on phones at all. It's a hobby, really. This article that we're linking to in the show notes from Amateur Photographer is talking about the fact that Canon have decided that they're going big time into restarting manufacturing of compact cameras. They've reckoned that over the last few years demand has increased and blah blah blah. No one else is making seriously good compact cameras, and they are talking about having a 50% growth of manufacturing, and they're going to try and, I think they're going to try and corner the market. So right, we're going to appeal to we're going to get all the Gen Z people on board with Canon before anyone else jumps on board and beats us to it. And the net result of that, I mean, they've done really well with their EOS R6 SLRs, and I think it's great that Canon are doing this. That they're stepping out and taking a risk into something that it will be a risk, because the fad could go away as quickly as it started. But I like this. And they haven't really produced many compact cameras for quite a few years now. They did those vlogging cameras, if you remember, but that wasn't quite the same, really. But yeah, if something came along like a G series Canon compact, which I used to love, I loved the G series, I would be really, really tempted for that to be my way back in, particularly if they had at least a 1-inch sensor in it or something, so you could have some real control over your photography. But that's not what Gen Z are after. They're after little snapshots to put on their fridge, aren't they?
Yeah, yeah. And I think that's the important thing that Canon can't make the mistake of. They need to be priced correctly. That people are not looking for £1,000 compact camera, all singing, all dancing. They're just looking for something that they can take down to the pub and take out whenever. Sorry, Jen said, don't go to the pub. They're looking for things for nights out with their buddies when they're playing their games, or making sourdough. I think that's what my daughter was doing at the weekend on Saturday night. But something that if she drops it, bummer. Getting her phone out and taking pictures, that becomes distracting. So yeah, a Canon need to focus on this, and whoever wins will be the one that comes in cheap enough, that makes a beautiful camera that works well and has the right price that people are going to be able to pick up on a meager budget.
Yep.
Yeah.
Bring in Ixus. Bring back Ixus.
Well, I'm hoping Panasonic. I love Panasonic, and I'm really worried about Panasonic because they're sort of shutting down areas of their business, because they're not doing as well as they should be, and I want to see Panasonic very much excel. But second to that, Canon then. But then Sony's going to come in, and they're going to cost a fortune probably, and then various different other manufacturers are going to come in and skew the market. Hasselblad will probably have a go. Who knows? Who knows? Right. Okay. Well, that's that. Ted, tell us about the Razer. No, you go ahead. Tell us about Razer.
Razer Cynosa Chroma is a membrane gaming keyboard with RGB lighting, which you can buy for 34 quid. It's wired, it's not wireless. And I remembered that I had this in a cupboard, and I thought, why is this in a cupboard? I'm going to get it out and have a go with it. And I was really surprised at how much I liked it. Mechanical keyboards are great. Chiclet keyboards are great, but this one just sits in the middle, and I've readopted it. I've got it out and I'm using it, and I think it's really nice. It's as I say, the keys are much like mechanical keys, but they're not as high profile. They're slightly lower, but not as low profile as chiclet ones, and they're really nice. The keys are really nice to touch, and they've got some nice travel. I'm just liking it a lot. I think that it presents a kind of middle road between the two, I can't believe how, when I went to see the price of it, I couldn't believe how cheap it was still. Maybe because people don't want wired peripherals anymore, but I really like it. And that's all I had to say. It's a very quick one to do that, and I just thought I'd tell you.
Yeah, no, it's a very talked about subject, I suppose, whenever it comes to gaming and things like that. People do take their keycaps and membranes very seriously. I'm always concerned about the name Razer. I feel that they very much overcharge for their things, but don't let that take away from you.
34 quid overcharge.
Yeah. No, nice one. Keyboard's important, very important. Mm-hmm. Right, the bought report, where we've bought some stuff, and I've bought a few things whilst we've been off air, and I'm going to start with one that I sat on the fence. Oh God, I don't know how long for, since it came out, I suppose. Behind me, where I'm sitting right now, is my Panasonic TV, and I don't have anything hooked up to it. It has a 4K Blu-ray player attached to it, and that's it. And I don't even know if it's smart. I only use it for playing discs. But in recent times, I've been looking for a way to just be able to sit back and watch a wee bit of TV on it, whether it be streaming YouTube or something like that, or Amazon Prime, to the TV, because it's been a bit frustrating because I haven't been able to do that, and I'm not getting into that casting shit because it's just a pain in the ass. You spend more time on your phone looking for what to watch next, and if you put up a 2-minute video, you're going to have your phone back up again looking for something else to queue up afterwards. So I wanted a proper streaming experience, and last year I'd settled on the Thompson 240, I think it was, and I can't remember why, but there was a there was a bit of a flurry. I think it might have been around Black Friday or something like that. There was a bit of a flurry of people buying it and videos popping up, and it looked like a really sensible solution, and I was too late to the game. I clicked buy and it was already sold out, so I wasn't able to get it. And it hasn't come back into stock. And I didn't want to get an Amazon Fire TV. I didn't fancy Google. I didn't fancy Apple. I didn't fancy Roku. I just wanted a TV streamer that would be able to give me what I wanted. And I sat there for about a year watching the market going, there's nothing coming along. I have a Nvidia Shield down in the living room. I didn't want to buy another one of those because sure as shit, as soon as I do, they'll release the Shield 2. And I think a lot of people are like me, where they're deliberating not buying, or deliberating buying it but not actually buying it, because it's been so long since that came out and it's still at the same price. As soon as you do buy, they will release a new version of it. You'll have spent all that money on old hardware that's about 10 years old, maybe slightly older. I can't remember how old that is. But yeah, I've loved it ever since I bought it. It's the best streaming device out there. It's just a bit long in the tooth now, although it still has great... still my main streaming device in the house. So I decided I was just going to bite the bullet, and I saw for £79 there was the Google TV streamer. And I mean, it's fine. It works. It does what I want it to do. It looks all right sitting in under the TV. It's got a very, very small footprint on the TV unit. The controller is quite nice, and it's all tuned in and works nicely with my setup. And I can't really fault it. It's so bland and boring. It doesn't do anything else. You know, Android TV or Google TV or whatever you want to call it, whenever you get past all the ads, and you can block ads as you see fit, it doesn't really excite in any way. And I think that's why one of the main reasons people are really trying to reclaim the way things were and get DVDs and that sort of thing. But whenever you still want that extra bit of, modern day technology, it's not exciting. It really isn't exciting at all. It works, it's functional, and I guess that's everything I should be grateful for, and that's why I haven't sent it back. I've just enjoyed using it. But it does nothing for me. It really is a bland, boring piece of hardware that does its job and nothing else. It has no hidden features. It has no extra functions that it can perform over the next Android streaming device. But the market is so bland. There's nothing out there. And I know Roku's great and all, but finding a Roku now that has an Ethernet port on it is difficult to do. And I don't need the soundbar because I have a soundbar on my TV. So, this was really the only option other than Apple TV, and I didn't want to go down that ecosystem. What do you have you ever had a play with the Google TV streamer?
Not this latest one, but I have got a Google TV dongle and remote in my drawer, and I just never use it because I'm so happily set up with my Roku stream bar and my Plex, and my living situation is not a big house with a family and loads of different rooms and loads of TVs. I'm sure if I had a spare TV somewhere, I would whip that straight out and stick it on there and use it, but I don't. And frankly, I'm so ingrained into the whole Roku thing that I can't really see past it anyway. I think I'm more likely to get another little Roku streamer if I had another TV. Added to which, my main TV is a smart one anyway, and it's got Google TV built into it. So if I wanted to use Google TV, it's already in there. But no, I'm a dwelling that only has one telly. That's it. No other television. But you obviously have got, TVs kicking about in different rooms, so it's just different for you.
Yeah, Yeah. See, I have to recommend it because the only other option is the NVIDIA Shield, and I feel that this is number 2 on the list. The number 3 might be the Apple TV, but then it's number 1 if you have an Apple phone or iPad or whatever. So it's one market that in the UK is just so boring. Really is. I find it kind of upsetting that this is what it is. That's all we have. And, people get... You hear people who buy a Fire TV and get a bit hacked off at apps disappearing on them, or, there's a fallout. And we've had this over the years where, Google's fallen out with Amazon, so they've removed YouTube from Amazon. It's done no one any favours in the long run. But yeah, so that's what I've bought. That was my first big purchase whenever we went off air. What have you bought? More important.
Oh, just a quick one from me. I got a set of Sony LinkBuds clip, which are really nice. I got the green pair, and they're very, very nice. I really like these loops, clips type earphones. I know they're not 100% sound isolated if you're kind of, in sitting next to someone, but they really work ever so well for me. I really enjoy them. They don't feel as though they're heavy in your ears or blocking your ear canal, and they just kind of sit there. My Moto Buds Loop I can just wear all day, and I do not know they're on. Now these Sony LinkBuds Clip, I got these, well, because I was just, at the time I was in the kind of Sony system, and I had a Sony phone, and I was going all Sony for a while, and they're really nice. But one thing I've got to complain about them, and it's not the sound. The sound is fantastic. It's that it takes me about 5 times as long as the Moto Buzz Loop to put them in place on my ear, and I've got to use 2 hands. And I don't really understand why. I think it's possibly because the Moto Buzz Loop, the loop is made of stuff that is just much more flexible, and I can do that with one hand. But with these ones, the Sony ones, I guess it's because they're just much stiffer. And after I've had them on for about 3 or 4 hours, I know they're there. I can feel them there. So maybe they're just not big enough for me, or they're just designed slightly wrong for me. But anyway, that's my only complaint about them. Apart from that, they work really well. And of course, if you hook it up with a Xperia phone or other Sony device like an MP3 player, you get the DSEE sound. So if you're going to kind of bake yourself into the whole Sony thing, you don't get LDAC, but you get SBC and AAC, and it just all works together nicely. But I have to admit that most of the time I prefer my Moto Buds Loop. That's it. Just a quick one.
So you can feel a bit of a pinch on the cartilage of your ear then? It does look a bit tight in one of these pictures.
Yeah, eventually. And that is, after maybe about 3 or so hours, I just kind of feel them there, and I know they're there. Whereas with the Moto Buzz Loop, as I say, all day, just leave them on. Even when I'm not using them, I just leave them on in case later on I want to put them back on or something. So they've turned off, but they might as well just stay there anyway.
Right. Okay. That's interesting. That you'd think that Sony would have got it right, and then anything else would be aspiring to be.
Yeah, but maybe everyone in Japan has got little ears. That could be. I mean,
careful.
All joking aside, maybe there is some relevance there, because people in Japan do tend to be smaller people, and perhaps they are building for their home audience. And I don't know. I'm not trying to be racist at all in any way, but perhaps we in the West have got bigger everything, bigger ears included.
Let's not go on about that. I know you like to brag about. Anyway, moving on. Bargain Basement, where things are cheap. It is Bargain Basement, isn't it? Yes, it is. Yes. Ted, you can go first because you're first in the line. Cue.
Oh yeah, the Pixel 10a has been reduced from... Oh, bugger. It's gone back up again. No, it hasn't. Yes, it has. No, hang on a minute. Right, the 128GB version has been reduced from $499 to $399, and the 256GB version has been reduced from... Well, if you have the blue one, it's been reduced to $435 now from whatever it was, $599. But yeah, that's no, hang on a minute, that's the second-hand one. So the red one is a new one, and that's $449. So that's been reduced from $599 to $449. This is a roundabout long way of saying that this might be a good idea to buy a Pixel 10a with its 7 years of updates ahead of the Pixel 11 range arriving, and them upping prices because they're all frightened to put too much RAM in them.
True, yes. And also I'm getting £89.80 over 5 months for that too.
Oh, right. That's interesting.
That's for the lavender one.
Lavender.
Lovely lavender.
I'm not being offered that.
Well,
anyway,
that's your shit.
I do quite like the A series with its flat camera on the back. I think that's a really good feature. No sticky out stuff on the back at all.
Yeah. All right. Next, the DJI Mic Mini. That's M-I-C, not M-I-K. M-I-C Mini. This is down in price. No, it's not. Wait a minute. Has this gone? It has. It was £65.20, but now it's £82. I only put that in last night. The bastards.
I am being offered 5 months to pay on that though. But even at £82, that looks like really good value, doesn't it?
It does. DJI is generally a pretty highly thought of brand, and they do seem to be doing some really good deals on their bits and pieces. I might actually start investigating whether or not their drone is worth looking into, because I do fancy that. But that's for another day. So never mind. Moving on.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. The next one is the... Oh, this is an odd one that popped up on my feed somewhere. How about an electric trike for adults?
Yeah.
I know a couple of people that could actually make use of these. So it's an adult tricycle, 3-wheel bike, which has got cargo style storage on the back and the front, and it's got a battery in it, and it's it just looks really cool. It's reduced from £1,700 to £1,445, and yeah, there's a couple of people around Abergele who ride these things around, and they look really good. And if there's any sniff of a hill or anything, the battery obviously takes over. And yeah, in that blue colour also, it looks really nice. So if I ever needed one of these to get around the town, I'd be delighted to use one of these.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Bruce Campbell on Instagram, he's got one of these as well, and he charts around Oregon on one, which is kind of nice. But he likes it because, well, he's going through cancer treatment at the moment, so he doesn't have to put his foot down or get off the bike whenever he comes to a stop.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's a nice idea, and it's the lowest it's been is £1,444.99, but standard is $1,599.
Yeah, and it is that lower price now, 15% off. Well, it is here anyway.
Wow. I was just looking at the the other products. I'm going to send you a link here. It just looks ridiculous. There's another trike for sale. Copy the link and I'll stick it in at the.
The one with the child on the side.
It's not a child. No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It looks like something from Elf. It's the electric tricycle for adults, and it looks really big. The guy on the seat looks tiny. Really, really small. Can you see that?
No, well, where have you put the link?
Just underneath the.
Oh yeah, sorry, I've got it. Yeah, I got it. Right, I'm clicking on it now. Oh yeah, that looks that's got to be a Photoshop. No, maybe not. Maybe not. Maybe it is that huge. Wow.
No. Well, the next picture has a lady on it, and she looks proportionate to it.
Yeah,
but he looks like Bob Newell from Elf.
Yeah. That one looks quite good as well. Actually, is that electric? That one? Oh yeah, it is. And that one's cheaper, $12.85. So perhaps anyway, it's interesting. I've never really considered looking at the prices of any of these before, so it's been an interesting explore.
I'll stick that in the show notes. If you're listening and want to see what we're giggling about, then there it is. There. While it's I can't. Well, I think those images generally happen all the time on Amazon. How many times have you seen a battery pack that is a lot smaller or a lot larger than it should actually be in someone's hand? Next up is the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 7. This is my wife's one, and it's the burnt orange, or whatever the colour's called, I can't remember. And it's down in price from £1,149 to £639, 44% off that is, and you can pick it up on 5 monthly payments for £127 and 80p. My wife absolutely adores this phone, and she's had it for I don't know, a year maybe. No, no, we got them back in January. Sorry, so yeah, half a year. And she still just takes it out and looks at it, and people still remark on how lovely it is and how exciting it is. So she thinks it's great. It feels like a what do you call those things that you open up and do your makeup with?
Compact.
Ted, that's the one. Thank you. So she does that. She loves that.
And this is 512 gigs as well. This is not even the 256, so it's 512 and 12 gigs of RAM. That's an incredibly good price. I suppose because the Flip 8 is just out, and it's only in that colour. So in that the coral red colour, the blue shadow is actually full price still, isn't it?
That's weird. That it really is coral red. Sorry, not burnt orange. I can't remember what burnt orange was. Is that the pixel colours? I can't remember. But yeah. Great, it's a really good phone. She's dead chuffed with it.
Cool, very good. Right, okay, the Inui wireless chargers, which I know are not terribly exciting and they're not terribly powerful, but they're great for bedside and desk side use. 2 chargers with a green light on the side that glows when it's in action, which is really good. And they're £27 for 2. And I think they're very often this kind of price, but it's just more of a shout out really to these Inui wireless chargers. And I've got 2 of these, and I've had them for years, and they work really, really well. They're solid, and they work, and they don't stop working, and they're just great. The only downside is that my one has got a micro USB cable on it. I don't know if have they changed that to USB-C now?
Yeah, I imagine they have. Yeah, they've got to.
You'd hope so, wouldn't you? But anyway, I was just a shout out really. They're really, really good, and you get 2 for £27. That's it.
From the looks of it, the port on the back. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, okay. Right. Next up is the Lenovo Idea Center Mini. This is the 01Q8X10. This is a little, I forgot one, mini PC with a Snapdragon X1 processor inside it, but a massive 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM and a 512 gigabyte SSD inside of it, and Adreno graphics. It runs Windows 11 out of the box, but I'd say get rid of that as quickly as possible. It's down in price from $399 to $366.29, which is dirt cheap, and it looks like a really nice little mini PC for you to do a bit of self-hosting or work. I suppose you could do work on it, but I'd get one of these to stick Plex on or something like that, or a nice version of Linux server type thing, and automate your house from it. And with that Snapdragon X, I suppose you might get some compatibility quirks depending on which distro you use, but I think this looks really cool. It's got a 3 gigahertz CPU inside it, so it should be pretty swift at doing whatever it is you need to do. I love mini PCs. They're dead exciting right now, and I think they're the one way that you're going to get yourself a decent, reliable computer without breaking the bank, because RAM prices and storage prices are through the roof to buy things that way.
Indeed they are. Very nice indeed. It does look good, you're right. Okay, my last one is the Anker 100 watt USB-C and USB-A charger with a swizzle 3-pin plug and touch control display, reduced from 59 quid to 39 quid. And we spoke about this, I think, once before on the show, and it does look really nifty and nice, and it's powerful and lots of options, including that lovely Anker style display, and you can turn it around, as I say, with a swizzle 3-pin plug, and it looks really nice, and I want one. I want to need one.
It is actually really nice, yeah. Swizzle, you say? Swizzle. Mm-hmm. That's a fun word. Yeah, and it's got a nice little display on the back. It's got 2 USB Type-Cs and 1 USB-A with a 100-watt output. Yeah, that's cool.
Oh, the
Perfect
pin,
for holidays.
The pins actually fold in as well. I didn't realise that. So if you're travelling, you can fold the 3 pins into the body and it reduce the size of it. Yeah, it looks nice.
Yeah, good stuff. Anker. Good stuff. The last one is a bit of a deal. I really do think, actually, it's not 4K. We're going to go with that straight off the bat. But it's the Philips Evnia EVNIA. It's a 34-inch WQHD curved gaming monitor with 180 hertz, 1 millisecond FreeSync premium ambi glow with 2 HDMI's and 1 HD a DisplayPort, DP DisplayPort, 1.4, and it's got a wee USB hub built into it as well. And it's down in price from £300 to £217.88. That's a bargain for this size of display. I'm looking at one now, which is a 4K variant of it by MSI. And I wish I'd paid £217 for it. It is a bit of a problem for some because they won't be able to get that 4K goodness out of it. But wait, hang on a second. It says there 3440 by 1440.
1440.
Okay, yeah, because it's a larger display. Yeah, never mind. Sorry, I just got myself tangled up. Don't want to be giving false information, just double checking myself. But I went and had some look at reviews off of Amazon, not actually Amazon reviews, but independent websites and things like that, and it reviews really well, which is surprising as well. Philips know how to bang out a few things, and this looks like one of their better things that they've banged out. And at £217, it's not a huge amount to have to shell out if you need a new 14.4 gaming display. Yeah, nice stuff. This.
How does the USB-C USB hub work? Do you
just?
I don't know.
You can plug in your computer to the monitor, and then you can plug stuff directly into the screen. So if you've got a keyboard or something like that, you want to plug directly into the screen as opposed to run a wire all the way to the back of the computer.
And that's got a USB Type B connector, by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have one on mine. I don't use it, but I have one on mine.
Mm-hmm. Right, yeah, very nice.
Yeah, I like Philips.
Yeah.
I've said that before.
Cool. Oh, there's also a 32-inch one. Did you say that? Did I miss you saying that? There's a 32-inch one, which is 168 quid as well. So if you don't want it quite as big or as wide, actually that 34 is ultra wide. Oh yeah, UW it says, ultra wide, whereas the 32 one is just wide. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Cool. Well, that about brings us to the end of the show. If you want to get in touch with us and make a complaint, you can by emailing me at gareth@techaddicts.uk. You can find me on Twitter at Gareth Miles, GarethMyles. I also have my Mastodon, Blue Sky, and mygarethmiles.com, which has a link to my coffee thing if you want to buy me a wee drink to say thanks for being a dick. Ted, where can they find you?
At tedsalmon.com as usual, and on MeWe most of the time. Links in the show notes to all of that. PodHub UK if you get lost. And if you want to buy me a copy and not Gareth, you can do that at paypal.me/TedSalmon. And I'll thank you even more than he would.
More recommended you buy Ted. It's better spent there. He sends nudes if you do. Right, we'll speak to you next week. Take care now.
Bye.